Tonight, we're going to share some details about the weather forecast. We have our meteorologist, Scott Strenfeld, with us tonight. Our incident commander, Mark Quinlan, is also here to discuss the potential shutoff and also the power restoration process. And finally, we have Vanessa Bryan. She's a local customer experience manager. She's going to share the support that will be available to our customers should this power shutoff occur. Now, with us on the phone, we have several members of the media as well. Following our incident summary, we're going to take up to 2 questions from each reporter. Reporters remind you to please press *1 to join the queue with your questions. So with that, here's where we stand at this hour. A severe weather event with hot, dry conditions and high wind gusts is expected to begin on Wednesday evening. Forecasted gusts are anticipated to reach 55 miles per hour. We expect these high winds to subside Thursday or potentially Friday morning. Now, because of these conditions, we're preparing to turn off power to about 54,000 customers in parts of 24 counties. If these forecasts do hold, power will be turned off beginning around 6 o'clock Wednesday for 33,000 customers, and then it will proceed in stages. At this time, we expect to have power restored to nearly all customers by late on Friday night. Again, that is dependent on the weather. And throughout this event, we are ready to support our customers, and we'll be giving you some more information about that. We're preparing to open 40 community resource centers, and we've partnered with local food banks and community-based organizations for further assistance. So we're going to get to the details on all of this shortly. Before we do, however, it's important to note that PG&E carefully reviews a combination of factors when we determine the need for a power shutoff. These factors include low humidity levels, generally 20% and below, forecasted sustained winds, generally above 25 miles per hour, and gusts above 45 miles per hour, a red flag warning from the National Weather Service, the condition of dry vegetation or material on the ground, and also real-time on-the-ground observations of the conditions from our PG&E field crews. Now, overall, turning off power to our customers is not a decision that we make lightly. PSPS events are a tool of last resort, used only when the weather events are so severe that people's safety, their lives, their homes, and their businesses may be in danger. With that, we want to move to our weather update, and I'll turn it over to Scott Strenfeld, our meteorologist. Scott, good evening.
Good evening, Lindsay, and good evening, everyone. The operational meteorology team here at PG&E is closely tracking another dry Diablo wind event expected to develop across Northern California starting tomorrow, Wednesday evening, and continuing through Friday morning. First, I'd like to cover the timing of the event to give you more detail. It does consist of 2 distinct time periods of wind risks. And so during the day on Wednesday, we will see the development of breezy and dry north winds initially develop down the Sacramento Valley, but starting at about 8 p.m. on Wednesday, we are expecting an increase in the strength of those winds, and for those winds to spread across the northern Sierra foothills into the elevated terrain of the North Bay. And then we'll see them spread a little bit further in the evening into the East Bay Hills and Santa Cruz Mountains overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. And then we do expect the winds to decrease by about midday Thursday through about Thursday afternoon, but we will see relative humidities fall into the teens and potentially even single digits for most locations during that time frame, the lull period. That period and basically a lull between weather events will be followed by a second period of wind risk starting approximately 6 p.m. Thursday evening. And it is expected to continue overnight through about 8 or 10 a.m. for most areas across the north into Friday morning. And then by 10 a.m. Friday, we do expect to be able to issue the weather all clear and begin restoration activities for most areas. And then before that time, we will be utilizing, the latest and greatest weather model intel that we get from both public and our internal weather model data, as well as some of the real-time intelligence that we get from the hundreds of publicly owned and also PG&E owned weather stations out there, which we have 850 of, to support any earlier all clear determinations or, any pushback in timing or abort on certain areas if it's safe to do so. For the past week, we have collaborated with the federal meteorologists from the National Weather Service and others via daily interagency calls when this event first appeared on the horizon in our weather models. And so the National Weather Service, and what you're seeing in the slide here, shows that they have issued red flag warnings for this event for pretty much the majority of Northern California. due to the potential spread of those winds causing potential rapid spread of wildfires. These warnings begin to go into effect starting as early as 5 a.m. Wednesday and are forecast to end at 11 a.m. Friday. So it's covering kind of those two peaks that I mentioned in this event. They are forecasting sustained winds of about 15 to 30 miles per hour, with widespread gusts generally 35 to 45, with some peak gusts near 55 miles per hour over the elevated terrain of the North Bay and East Bay primarily. A separate forecast agency that we also collaborate with, the Northern Operations Predictive Services, is also forecasting high risks of significant fire potential due to the gusty winds combined with low relative humidity values. Their event timing is very aligned with our thinking and the National Weather Service timing, with the risk lasting from Wednesday through Friday with this event. They are forecasting wind gusts similar to the National Weather Service, but they also highlight that some of the isolated wind-prone spots like Mount St. Helena or Jarbo Gap, for example, could see gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. And so my team is staffed now to monitor this event. We've been staffed 24/7 for the last couple of days as we've been tracking it and preparing for it, and we'll continue to make refinements as needed based on the latest intelligence that we get from weather models as well as from our real-time weather stations. And then I'd like to close by, just acknowledging that we have had a historic fire season this year, and it has been extremely challenging for many. And we are now and will continue to be in the peak of fire season until the rain and snow returns. And all of us here hope that it returns sooner rather than later. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Lindsay.
All right, thanks, Scott. So it looks like a combination of low humidity and really high winds, along with the red flag warning. Can you also explain, because as we look at the map and we see that large swath of the red flag warning, this is a smaller PSPS than the ones we have had so far this year, but it's a lot of counties. Can you talk a little bit about who's going to be affected in those counties?
Yeah, absolutely. And so when basically to establish the scope of the event, we use our internal high resolution model data, and based on the factors that you had posted earlier, we use that to combine everything in our weather model essentially to determine where those highest risk areas are. And so this event, although it does appear to be a little bit weaker than some of the events that we had last year and some of the events earlier this year, it will be focused in many areas, and we will see many locations spread throughout Northern California experience some of those dangerous conditions. So although the event is smaller, overall from a customer impact, it is affecting multiple areas with this event, and we're just in the season. We've been a month now from the first PSPS event that we executed on in early September, and the fuels are actually much drier, so the our fire potential index and the fire danger is just much higher this year, which is another factor that's leading to the scope for this event. Okay,
thanks, Scott. So we want to turn now to Mark Quinlan. He is our incident commander for this PSPS event to get an operational update. And Mark, I guess the first thing I want to clarify with you is we have not yet made the decision to call the PSPS. Is that right?
That's correct, Lindsay. That decision will come tomorrow at the earliest.
So why don't you go ahead and give us an operational update and explain to us what we're looking at for this potential PSPS and then also restoration should we get to that point.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I want to highlight a few things that you had mentioned in your remarks and what Scott had mentioned in his remarks. And it really is about how challenging this year has been, dating back to March when the COVID-19 pandemic really started to begin. Things are challenging right now. We're certainly no stranger to that. We're all working from home, the majority of us. The kids are at home. Some of us may have turned into teachers, and we're schooling our children from home, and it's just different. And we've had a very active fire season, to Scott's point. So all those things together make it a challenging year, and we're no stranger to that. We also recognize that power outages introduce a significant hardship. And as such, that's why when we talk about extreme fire risk and we talk about public safety power shutoff execution, we really view it as a last resort option. And we put a lot of thought and effort and a lot of data analysis into it to make the public safety power shutoffs as small as possible to start with, and then as short as we can in duration, and then smarter for our customers. So given the fact that weather conditions can always change, this is what we believe the event scope to be as of this time, if weather conditions stick to the forecast, and we'll know that tomorrow morning. We're anticipating roughly an impact of 54,000 customer accounts across 24 counties. You can see on the map on the right-hand side of the slide, they're grouped into 3 general clusters of extreme fire danger. We refer to those as, our geographic areas of danger. There are actually 13 subdivided smaller geographic areas of danger that are kind of encompassed in those 3 general clusters. And the reason that we split it up into so many smaller polygons geographically is it gives us more operational flexibility to be able to make real-time decisions as to when to shut the power off and when to turn it back on after weather conditions have improved. So if we refer to the map on the right-hand side of the slide, large area of customers in the Sierra foothill regions and in the North Bay. That area of customers is anticipated to be shut off somewhere around 6 p.m. tomorrow. The area in blue, which is the Southern Sierra and portions of the South Bay and the East Bay, that comes in a little bit later. Anticipated start of the shutoff is roughly 8 p.m. And the outlier is to the far north and west. That's highlighted by the number 3. Small geographic scope, small customer impact, roughly 400 customers up in the Humboldt and Trinity County area. That event is the outlier because the weather conditions do not become unsafe until the following day, Thursday, at around 4 p.m. That's when we'll start the shutoff there. Again, all of this is based on forecasted weather, and we know that forecasts can change, and we will change with those forecasts and make the appropriate decisions. With respect to how long the weather will be in play and when we anticipate the weather reducing and improving to safe conditions, we're looking somewhere in between morning in between 8 in the morning and say noon. And as we receive those all clear messages from the meteorology team, we'll begin our power restoration process. This slide kind of shows the 5 steps that are associated with that process. The first thing that we do when we get the weather all clear from the meteorology team, we notify you. You'll be receiving a notification indicating that weather conditions have improved to the point to where we can begin our patrolling and our restoration process. We're also going to provide an estimated time of restoration. Our customers want to know when their lights are going to be back on so that they can make appropriate arrangements. We completely understand that, and we do everything we can to be as forthcoming as we can with what we think with regards to how long it's going to take us to restore. Right now, we're anticipating the majority of our customers to be restored by the end of the day on Friday. Now, having said that, it's a process that takes place. Some customers are restored early within the first few hours. Other customers will be restored later. But it all starts with that all clear and the message to our customers to let them know what they can expect. Once that message goes out, we will have our field crews pre-positioned, ready to go. And as soon as we receive that all clear from the meteorology department, we then go ahead and begin our patrols. We patrol via air and ground and foot. We have a sizable helicopter fleet that we can perform air patrols with. In unison with that, we'll be also performing controls or patrols on the ground and in some cases on foot in hard to access areas. If we find damage or hazards that have made contact with our facilities while they were in the shut-off state, we will be making repairs to our equipment or removing the hazards. That's where we have construction crews follow our patrollers such that when the patrol is complete and we find trouble, we don't wait to complete that patrol. We actually have the construction crews start making repairs concurrently. We do that so that we can restore you back in lights as soon as we can. Once we do patrol our system and it's verified safe and there's nothing that presents a fire ignition risk, we then go ahead and restore you and then send you a follow-up notification that your power has been restored. So that's the process. As mentioned by Lindsay, we have not made the decision to execute a public safety power shutoff yet. Our objectives on the overnight operational period are to continue to look at the weather forecasts because we know weather forecasts can change. And as they change, we're going to refine the scope and look for opportunities to keep customers energized. And once we have that in place, tomorrow morning early, we'll be locking in that final scope and then we'll be executing our final notifications to the customers and communities that we serve who we believe will be shut off. And that communication will be done in the late morning, early afternoon before the shut off event in the evening. So with that, Lindsay, I will turn it back to you.
All right, Mark, thanks for that update. So what I heard was 54,000 customers in scope in 24 counties, and the earliest that power shutoffs could begin would be around 6 o'clock tomorrow.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks very much, Mark. Okay, we want to go to Vanessa Bryan now with our customer organization and have her fill us in a little bit on what we're planning to do to support our customers should we end up calling a power shutoff. Vanessa, are you with us?
I am. Thanks, Lindsay, and hello, everyone. I appreciate you joining us this evening. As my colleagues have mentioned, we understand how difficult PSPS events are on our customers, and we know this has been an incredibly challenging year. So we've been working hard to help make this experience and all of our PSPS events really less difficult for you, our customers. So let me share how we're focused on doing that. First, we're preparing to open 40 community resource centers. Now, those centers will open tomorrow beginning at 5 p.m. They'll stay open until 10 p.m. And after tomorrow, we'll keep those centers open daily from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. until the customers in the area have been restored. The best place to go and find information about our community resource centers is pge.com/PSPS updates. There's a map there as well, and there's information on all the centers, their hours, their locations. Now, these centers provide an ADA accessible restroom, a hand washing station. They have basic medical equipment charging or device charging, and you can obtain up-to-date information about the PSPS event and get some water, light snacks, and other essential items that we hope to reduce kind of the hardship on our customers. Indoor centers also offer air conditioning or heating as appropriate, seating and ice. And all of our centers, I do really want to reinforce this point. They reflect the appropriate COVID-19 health considerations and follow state and county guidelines. That includes masks, social distancing, metering of individuals for indoor sites, and regular sanitation of hard surfaces. We do ask that any customers who are experiencing symptoms do not visit the community resource centers to minimize the spread of COVID-19. So on the next slide, I'd like to speak about some additional customer support. Initial notifications about a possible PSPS event started going out to customers Monday afternoon. That was approximately 2 days prior to the potential shutoff. And we just completed sending out one-day watch notifications to potentially impacted customers. Those notifications were sent through text messages, emails, and automated phone calls, and focused on the customers who will potentially be affected in this event. These notifications also include the estimated times that we expect to shut off power and the estimated time that we expect to be able to restore power so that customers can plan accordingly. They also include links to be able to obtain more information on additional resources, and they're available in 13 languages. So we also have additional precautions in place for customers who rely on power for medical needs or who are enrolled in PG&E's medical baseline program. In this event, we have more than 3,000 medical baseline customers that will potentially be affected. And those medical baseline customers are asked to confirm that they've received our PSPS notification. If customers do not reply and they're enrolled in our medical baseline program, we will continue to attempt to reach them. And we will even visit in person if we don't get a response or acknowledgement of the call, text, or email. So we do ask that you do that. Our website, pge.com/PSPS updates, is updated with the latest PSPS event information that is updated regularly throughout the event. And that website offers content in 13 languages. In addition, I do want to note that our call centers are staffed and actively responding to customer calls. We continue to expand our partnerships with community-based organizations. Now, those include in-language organizations, food banks, Meals on Wheels, etc. And information about all these resources are available on our website. You can go to pge.com/disability and aging to get more details. And on the next slide, I'll speak to additional resources for our disabled and aging populations. Now, for this event in total, we've partnered with 41 community-based organizations to help customers with medical, accessibility, financial, language, and aging needs. Specifically through our partnership with California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, qualifying customers who rely on power for medical devices or independent living needs are encouraged to contact their regional independent living centers. Those independent living centers will work with our customers to complete a needs assessment and determine if a portable backup battery, a hotel stay, and/or accessible transportation are the best solution. So to see a full list of participating independent living centers, you can go to that same website, pge.com/disability and aging. And we encourage customers not to wait. It takes time to coordinate those resources. And so please, if you do have needs, if you rely on power for medical or independent living needs, please reach out to your independent living center and start the planning process. Customers interested in learning about any of these and other available services in their community can also dial 211. It's a great resource to learn about social services available, and it's community specific. So finally, I want to outline some steps that you can take to be ready for this event and any future emergencies. We encourage all customers to be prepared and have a safety plan. So be sure that you have updated your contact information so that we can reach you in an emergency. You can do that via our website or by calling our contact center at 1-800-PGE-5000. We encourage you to build your emergency plan and to consider medical needs such as medications that might require refrigeration or devices that need power or the ability to charge. And prepare and check your emergency kit with flashlights, fresh batteries, first aid supplies, and cash. Keep facial coverings and hand sanitizers available in there as well. And practice manually opening your garage door. It can also be helpful to have a full tank of gas in your car. Finally, charge your phone, identify backup charging methods, keep hard copies of emergency numbers and other important information, and make sure to prepare that go bag. So if you need to, you can leave at a moment's notice. These and other tips about how to prepare are available at pge.com/PSPS updates. So I'll close by thanking all of you for your patience and your understanding with this potential PSPS event. These continue to be really challenging times, and we're doing everything we can to try to make these events as easy as possible on our customers. So with that, I'll turn it back to Lindsay.
All right, Vanessa, thank you. Very good tips on how to prepare. Just to recap, we'll have 40 community resource centers open for our customers beginning at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening should we initiate a power shutoff, and we have taken COVID precautions at all of those CRCs. So I want to remind the reporters who are on the line with us tonight to please hit *1 in order to get into the queue to ask a question. We'd like you to ask up to 2 questions if you have them, and ask them both off of the top, and I'll direct them to either Scott, Mark, or Vanessa. Starting off tonight, we'd like to go to the San Francisco Chronicle and JD Morris. JD, are you on the phone?
Hello?
Hi, JD, I can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I was wondering, how could the total number of people affected by this change given the temporary microgrids and substation generators? And then is the second wind event going to affect everyone, or do you expect to start restoring power to some places, before that second wave of wind comes through?
Okay, thanks for the questions, JD. Mark, I'm going to come to you for both of those. So any temporary generation or microgrids in use for this particular event? And then can you talk about how we're expecting the winds to come in and how that will affect various groups of customers in different parts of our service area?
Okay, thank you. JD, great questions. Starting with the number of people who will avoid an extended duration shutoff as part of this event. We have leveraged some temporary microgrid solutions. We've also placed or plan to place one of our substations in an island configuration.
Mark, you still there?
Yeah, I'm going to do a mic check.
I think we just had a technical difficulty, but you look good to me.
Okay, thank you. JD, I'll start from the top. 54,000 customers currently in scope. That number would have been larger. We are planning to deploy temporary microgrids, to your point, as well as some other solutions. We refer to that as island configuration. We have a generating station in the Caribou area that allows us to place it in an island configuration. What that does, it allows us to keep customers in lights while we de-energize transmission lines that come into and out of that substation. So we've done this in the previous 2 PSPS events that we've experienced this year in September. We plan to leverage that again. With respect to number of customers who will avoid that extended duration outage, it's on the order of 12,000 customers. That's an estimate, and that will change as the weather conditions change as well. So with your second question, which was primarily around the 2 waves of the weather. Will customers be out for the entire duration? Short answer is we're planning yes. If there are opportunities to restore customers because weather conditions have improved or that second wave of the weather doesn't materialize, then we intend to begin the patrol and restoration sequence earlier than anticipated, and we should be able to begin restoration sooner. Again, as mentioned in my remarks, there is one outlier, and those are the customers that exist up in the Humboldt County and the Trinity County. They don't get shut off until the following day, until roughly 4 p.m. on Thursday. So they would only be experiencing the second wave of that weather. So, and again, our expectation is that we restore the majority of our customers who can receive service by end of day Friday. Hope that answers your questions.
Mark, back to the islanding for just a second. Is that up in the Humboldt area?
No, Lindsay, it's actually in the Sierra foothills along the Feather River Canyon. There is another generating station that we leverage in Humboldt County. It's not in play for this event due to the small scope.
Okay, but to confirm, I think you said about 12,000 customers who would have been in scope now will not have their power shut off if we initiate a PSPS due to temporary generation and microgrids.
That's correct.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Mark. And thanks, JD, for the question. Want to see if we have Phil Gomez still on the line with us from KSBW on Central Coast. Are you on, Phil?
I'm here right now, yes. I have a question. If this is to expand, I'm in Santa Cruz County. If this were to expand over to the North Coast, which it might, is there or are there any resource centers being open for those people in that area? Because the one that might be the closest is in Boulder Creek, which is about maybe 15 miles away, and the next one is 30 miles away. That's question one. Question two, these people have already gone through a lot in the Santa Cruz Mountains, having lost, when they came back, lost all their food, refrigerators and the like. How or what can be done if they lose their food again? Will they be reimbursed, or what do they need to do?
Thanks, Phil. I'm going to go to Vanessa for both of those questions. So Vanessa, first, a question about CRCs and locations. Should the event expand on the coastal area? And then the second question is about food loss and how we can help customers with that.
Absolutely, Phil. Thank you for the question. So in answer to your first question, if any scope is added to our potential PSPS event, we evaluate those locations to make sure that there are CRCs in close proximity to where our customers are going to be impacted. Now, our folks work closely with county OES, county officials to determine the right place to locate those community resource centers, and we will post those on our website should that expansion occur. Now, just to be clear, we aren't indicating that there's any expansion planned at this point, but anytime scope increases, we do also then adjust the number of CRCs appropriately. In answer to your second question about food replacement, we are actually working with 10 food banks, county food banks, that are able to provide immediate food replacement for our customers. So you can go to pge.com/disability and aging. There's a list of participating food banks. Now, we are adding to that regularly, and so we continue to engage with new food banks, get them through our partnership process, and then we post them on the website. So we do encourage customers to go there. They can obtain a box of food that will feed a family of 4 for a week. Of course, if they have more than 4, they can get multiple boxes. And that will be for the duration of the event and then for 3 days following. And we're really excited to be able to partner with our regional food banks for that. Back to you, Lindsay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vanessa. That's good information. We have one other reporter with us on the line. Want to welcome from KTVU, Deb Villaleon. I may have said that wrong. Deb, are you with us?
I am. Hello.
Hi.
I'm curious. Hi. I'm in the North Bay a lot, which of course is disproportionately affected by PSPS. And what a lot of people up there wonder is, after the firestorms of 3 years ago, they felt that this was going to be a remedy that wasn't going to go on forever as a business practice, that there would be that PG&E would make the changes to shoulder more of the safety burden. So how would you address that? And also, as my second question, where do you stand with the vegetation management? Because the judge has recently, that's overseen your probation as recently as April, said that you're not spending enough to do the tree trimming, and you don't have to look far to find a lot of wires that don't appear to have ever been trimmed.
Thanks, Deb. Let's turn to Mark Quinlan. He's our incident commander to tackle these questions. Mark, we are trying to make these events smaller, shorter, and smarter. I think the question is really around how much longer do we expect to use this as a tool of last resort? And then if you're able to talk a little bit about our vegetation management practices. I know you're part of our emergency operations crew and not our veg crew, but maybe you can address that generally.
Yeah, I'll start with the last one first, and I appreciate the questions. The veg management, to your point, Lindsay, our focus right now is completely on this public safety power shutoff event. And don't have a lot of information to share with the veg work plan, if you will. But indications are that we're tracking to our enhanced vegetation management plan for 2020. If I pivot back to your first question about how long do we anticipate leveraging public safety power shutoff events into the near future, I can't really comment and give you a definitive time. Public safety power shutoffs are in use in the state of California. They've been recently expanded to other states. They've been around for a number of years. Our intent this year was to make them as small as we can, make them as short as possible, and make them as smart for our customers. You can see, based on the details that I provided in my portion of the briefing, we've done the best we can to be as surgical as we can with respect to identifying specific areas of scope, making that smaller, leveraging our new capabilities in the meteorology department to make these less impactful on our customers. Back to you, Lindsay.
Thanks, Mark. And Deb, I'm going to have someone get back to you after this briefing with more information on vegetation management and where we're at with that work plan. So thanks for that question. As we wrap up now, I want to remind folks that the power safety shutoff has not been, the decision to initiate a power safety shutoff has not actually been made yet. That will be made tomorrow. We'll continue to update our customers who are potentially affected with alerts. So please make sure we have your updated customer information and contact information. The scope of this event is potentially 54,000 people in 24 counties beginning at about 6 o'clock tomorrow. Again, the weather and the forecast could change that scope, but we'll continue to provide updates. For the latest information, we ask you to go to pge.com/PSPS updates. Again, we thank you for your patience and your understanding as we go through this very historic fire season, and we ask everyone to please stay safe. And again, thank you. Good night.